HR problem. Let me get you to them. And I want to connect you to them. It's called a warm transfer. And then they will resolve it. Job not finished. We're not finished yet. You know why? Guess who calls the customer back and contacts the customer to see if their problem is resolved? The person who owned it. The person who took it. Now this is not glitzy, it's not glamour, I know it's not fun, but you're talking about elimination of problems in a company where they can focus on all these good customers and figure out who their customers are. So I'll tell you another way on total contact ownership. That's the warm transfer. I own it until it's resolved. Because guess what happens 15% of the time when you say, Lloyd, was your problem solved? You know, HR's called you and said, we got them taken care of, don't worry about them. I called Lloyd, guess what? 15% of the time they're going to say, no, my problem hadn't been solved. No, wait a minute. No, they didn't give me an answer. Now, if that goes on, that can overtake a growth company. All these problems starts building up. 15% of the time, no, it hadn't been solved. Oh, well, let me get you back. But here's how you eliminate another big set of problems. When somebody calls you up, and let's face it, growth companies have demands and challenges. Things are going on. And they call you up, and if you do this is something you should specifically teach your people. If they will, at the end of the call, or whether it's face-to-face or whatever method it is, if they would say this right here, now this is what you told me, this is what I'm going to do about it, and this is how we're going to help you. Now remember, this is what you told me. I'm repeating what you just told me. Again, a great percent. No, I didn't tell you that. This is what I'm going to do about it. No, don't try that because, you know, Cliff's already tried that yesterday. Don't try that. So this total contact methodology works. And I hadn't seen another service strategy that works in a growth company other than this right here, preventing it. It's simple. And what happens then, as you start doing that, you build a knowledge base up. Instead of fixing, you can fix, prevent. It's a mindset that a company has to be trained on. So enough on total contact ownership. It's the least glitzy thing I do, and it's the most important thing I will tell you during this whole course, is the total contact ownership. Now, we identified our customer, we got the right message, we got the right messenger. We got it down to 2 words. We know how to describe in 2 words what we do. Our 7S is kind of coming into alignment that we went over to begin with. What does a customer really want? And there's books written on this. There are chapters, hundreds of chapters. What does a customer really want? And by the way, there's no wrong answers in these things, so fire away at me. There's nothing wrong.
He wants your attention, right?
They want your attention, absolutely. But that's very true, and this is something we have to teach about. What does the customer really want? You know, and if you do these 3 things right here, you can keep the rabid customers and loyal fan base. One is timely. They want things on a timely basis, and this is 2011 material. If you look at 2011, maybe it would be different 10 years ago, but 2011, you know, people just don't put up with, hey, you know, I would have been here an hour ago, but, you know, I had a problem. You know, I know it's supposed to be shipped in 2 days, but the truck didn't work. So in what you deliver, timeliness has got to be there. The second one is defect-free. You know, when you stayed here at the hotel, when you went in and you hit the light switch, you want the light bulb to come on. You want the soap to be in the shower. If you buy something, a new product, you want it to work. You want it defect-free. Now that's 2 important ones. But the third one is the most important one. Caring. And again, we're simplifying here because there's hundreds of books written on this. In a fast growth company or any kind of growth company, you've got to narrow it down to 3 things. And what do we mean by caring?
Showing the customer that you care.
showing the customer you care. And by the way, if you do the third one, they'll forgive you for the other two. This is really important lesson for any business person, not any business person. If you care about them, and if you do have a timely issue, you can go to them and they see that you care. They'll get over it. But what if they think you don't do the third one? If you don't do the third one, nothing else matters. Now, what do we truly mean by caring? Because sometimes we can't really do anything for them, and what are they really looking for? I was at a hotel in Phoenix recently, and a guy came up and he was sunburned. He walked up to the counter and said, "Ma'am, do you have any suntan lotion? Do you have any lotion?" And his face was red. And she did a great job. She didn't have any lotion. So, because we can't give the customer everything they want. I mean, we can't really expect her to have suntan lotion at the front desk, and put it on his face. I mean, but she says, "Oh, bless your heart, you got sunburned today. I am so sorry. You can go to the gift shop and get some." He was so happy because somebody just said, "Bless your heart." She showed that she cared about the sunburn. And this many times we see businesses go, "No, we don't have any. We don't have any of that. Bye." Not going to have any Jimmy Buffett fans that way. Not going to have any rabid, loyal fans that way. So this is basic. You could teach this customer service training to your people in a 2-hour shot. We could go through all this 2 hours. And guess what? This is what Entrepreneur 2.0 does. We just eliminated about 200 books written on the topic in chapters and chapters. So that's what a customer really wants on the service strategy. All right.
So how do you get people to care?
It's a good question. Now, that's a really good question. Go back to my 7S model. Pull up my 7S model. Thank you. Go back to myself. All right. This is the 7S model. And how do you get people to care? We said on the 7S model, shared values. If you don't have shared values in a company, you're going to have what I call spotty customer service. You're going to have some people who do care and some people who don't. So you've got to go back to shared values. Ligon Hutto in Bamberg, South Carolina, hit their shared values where they're going to be the best manhole company for water companies. And you know what? We're going to be the best at it. And that was their shared values. You've got to have this right here, the shared values. Chick-fil-A was real simple. We glorify God. We can all care about that. Herb Keller, they cared. That luggage people cared because they were moving people off Greyhound buses. They felt, even when they were just one airplane, one little airplane in Lubbock, Texas, they felt they were changing society for the better. Now, if Keller had started that airline and said, "Well, we're just in it for the money, we're just in it to move passengers," never would have made it. Now, the last point we're going to is skills. Now, something he did with those shared values, with skills and staff, he changed the rules because he said, all these other airlines, guess who the least paid employee is? The gate agent. The gate agent. Who faces the customer the most? Who deals with all the problems? He made his gate agents one of the most highest paid. Behind the pilot, they became the highest paid employee in that organization. Because he said, and if you go to Southwest, those people check you in, they're professional and talented. So it's a number of things to get to care. He didn't just do the shared values, he did the skills, the staff, how he hired them, and then the style over here. I mean, that's the one that's, I know it's not a great word, but it's so important. Herb Keller ran a very relaxed environment, his company. That matched it. He matched it all up. So guess what? He had just a bunch of Raven loyal fans that seated themselves. When he said he was only going to fly 737s, people in Delta at the time said this is going to put him out of business. There's no way you can fly all 737s. Herb Keller's like, wait a minute, same pilots, same training, same mechanics. And what he said, Keller said later on, the airlines were more in love with aviation than they were the customer. They were making those plane decisions based on what's best for aviation, not the customer. So, 7S model, I love it. I believe in it, and I think it's what can help us grow our companies. Okay, good question, though. Yes?
In terms of shared values, do you see it more coming from the entrepreneur himself, or is it evolutionary that the entrepreneur looks at what his employees will do, or is it really more driven from the top down?
Well, good questions. Shared values also, I answer this question. Steve Jobs, when he started Apple, he was a tyrant. He was horrible to work for. I mean, he would get into screaming matches every day with his employees. Now, who would want to work there? Now, who would want to work for a guy that would come in and just... Now, he's changed. He went on and came back to Apple and changed. But he was absolutely a nightmare. But the shared values was not Steve Jobs. The shared values was, I'm going to make technology a design instead of a function. All these other, IBM and all these other people, they make technology so boring. And so he attracted people who saw technology as a fashion and as a design. So they tolerated him. You know, the shared values were so strong, it was stronger than Jobs. So it comes from a vision that the entrepreneur has, that people embrace. And so would IBMers work well at Steve Jobs' company? No. And vice versa. So it comes from the vision. And this is why vision's important. You know, sometimes that word's overplayed. But that vision is what drives it. Does that answer your question? Does that answer it? It's very rarely just the person themselves. Like, whippy, I get to work for, Steve Jobs. It's bigger than that, because people still want to be part of something honest and makes a difference. That's what people want to be, something that's honest and makes a difference. People want to be part of that. It's amazing what employees will do when they embrace the shared values. Okay. Very good questions. All right, what else? Okay, I said a lot of breaks. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes?
Excuse me, you referred to, before the break, that when entrepreneurs first start off, they have to be low cost, value added, and premium.
They don't have to. Usually they are.
But a lot of times they are. A lot of our clients, they want to go after everything. How do you get them to give up the short-term cash to really focus on who they are and to pick a lane?
You know, that's maybe the hardest thing. You probably just touched on the most difficult thing, because they look at it as you're taking money out of their pocket.
Right.
But when they see the entire picture, they have to see
Big picture.
the big picture. When we go through the Willie Nelson and we went through the Jimmy Buffett.
What if they see it, but it's a habitual thing? Like, the nature of an entrepreneur is to pursue opportunities.
Pursue opportunities. What you want to do is get them to go, show them if they go deeper,
That they can make more money.
they make more money than going wider. And it's a weaning process. It is not a process you come in one day and say, oh, by the way, today we're all low cost. I mean, because one thing we keep Entrepreneur 2.0 is in the real world. It's a combination of Harvard and Hard Knocks. And the Hard Knock says, I can't just flip the switch overnight, but you can wean yourself off of that and go to one of those three categories: low cost, value add, or premium. But good question. I mean, consultants who hadn't done it, and all of you have done it. Let's say McKinsey would come in and tell you, flip the switch. I disagree with that. I don't think that's good advice. McKinsey is directly opposite of me on this, or one of the way they teach it. I think you've got to say, you know what? Let's try to get 50% of our revenue in low cost, and then let's try to get 60, and let's get 80. Let's make it a process rather than a flip of the switch. Thank you. Okay.